Okay, Mr. Chair?
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the North Miami CRA Advisory Committee meeting. Can we begin with a roll call?
Yes. Sorry, can I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault, sorry.
What,
Ms.
you don't know
Cobo?
also? Here.
Ms. Cohen canceled this afternoon. Mr. Each?
Present.
Ms. Geimer?
Here.
Dr. Joseph? Chairman McDermott?
Present?
Mr. McCain? Mr. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez is sick. He called to cancel. And Mr. Emmanuel Gentil was working the Super Bowl, so he said he may not come. We have quorums, Chair.
Very good. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Just behind the screen. Just imagine the screen is not there.
I'm gonna go
right.
get it and pledge
Yeah,
allegiance
just
to
the
the
flag
flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's the only time I see the back of my head.
So funny. Okay.
Our last minutes were of
April.
April. So can we have a motion to approve April's minutes?
I so move. Second.
Any discussion on it? And please, okay, all in favor say aye.
Mike, I have the approval of minutes of March 11th, 2019.
No, it's April.
April 1st.
Yeah, but,
It says April, approval of minutes.
yeah, it says April 1st.
Approval of minutes. Oh,
No.
that was the agenda, okay.
Right. Okay.
All right.
All right, so,
Agenda item 1. Mr. Chair, before I let the procurement director speak, I want to give you a background on what it is that we're asking you to do. One of the tasks that the CRA has is to, as per the interlocal, do a parking garage, a minimum of a 60 parking space garage with retail in the downtown. Part of the conversation led to us looking at redeveloping the downtown. As you all know, we've had this conversation before. So we're working towards preparing for a public-private partnership, a P3, which means the city owns the land, the CRA has the financing, and a private developer would come in and redevelop it, and so on and so forth. So part of the steps of the checklist of the things that we have to do to get to the point where we could put out an RFP for private developers, master developers to bid is we need to do our due diligence. So this item in front of you is hiring a company to survey all the city-owned lots, city-owned properties within the downtown, and also do phase 1 environmental evaluation for us. So
Own all the lots?
the ones in the downtown.
the ones in the
So-
downtown.
Okay, how many lots are there that you're gonna do a phase 1 on?
City Hall, the parking lot behind Cafe Creme, the police department, Mocha, the lot right here, the lots on 126th Street.
Okay, so like 10 maybe?
No, 6. I think they're
6?
like, yeah, I think they're like 6.
Okay.
So it's
phase
just the
1.
lots and, like I said, the municipal buildings. Right,
Museum,
City
the parking
Hall,
lot,
all the
City
properties
Hall,
here.
Parking lot.
Yeah. So, Mr. Destrade?
Okay, good evening, committee members. For the record, Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director. Well, I think Raj has pretty much explained it all. She's a tough act to follow, but the item that you have before you, and obviously is asking for your recommendation approval to the CRA board, is essentially an assignment to one of our firms that was previously selected last year under what's referred to as CCNA. They're one of the pre-qualified professional consultants. The name of the firm is Terracon Consultants, Inc. They're a geotechnical firm. They're the ones that have been asked to provide us a proposal to perform the environmental assessments that Rasha mentioned, as well as surveys for each one of the sites. I provided to you a report that sort of summarizes how this firm was selected previously by the City Council, and also describes for you the various sites that they will be performing this service. On the first page in the proposal in the bottom, As you can see, the first site is actually the parking lot, the Mocha parking lot, actually. The second site are the parking lots east and south of the North Miami Police Department. And we have folio numbers for them. Obviously, the folio numbers would have the legal descriptions. The third site is City Hall property, but it excludes the police department and Mocha. And the last site is the parking lot adjoining Northeast 126th Street. On the following page, on the second page of the report, you'll have a brief description up top, essentially what they will do in terms of an environmental assessment and also a survey. Essentially, they'll do an evaluation of the environmental conditions, a review of the historical use for documenting past land uses, review of regulatory records, reconnaissance of site and adjoining surrounding properties. In essence, what this is, what is commonly referred to as a due diligence. They're going to be doing a due diligence report on these sites, as well as a survey of the sites. And then in the bottom there, you'll see, excuse me, the actual cost or proposal of the cost for each one of the sites. You'll have an amount. On one column, the cost of the Phase 1 environmental assessments. On the next column, you have the actual cost of the survey. And the final column, the total cost for each one of these sites. As you can see, the total cost for this work is less than $50,000. It's actually not to exceed $47,550. So in essence, we're here before you to seek your approval to move this item forward to the CRA board. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
The environmental assessment, what is that about?
Well, yes, Chief Each, there are varying levels, different levels of environmental assessments that you can request. This is the very basic one, which is referred to as a Phase 1. There's also a Phase 2 and a Phase 3. But this Phase 1 really is to do basically sort of a historical research of the site itself, you know, to look into what were some of the prior uses of the site, to ensure that there are not issues that could affect the development of the site, such as if it was previously used for anything that could be pose a contamination of the site. They will also review the adjoining sites and do sort of a preliminary sort of a title search of the site also. It's very preliminary.
Okay, that I understand. The other question I have, I'm looking at the cost of the survey. Don't we have the surveys, or
No.
we have to redo that again? or-
No, we don't have the surveys.
We don't have any surveys?
No.
No.
I'll be darned.
Yes.
I remember we built the Mocha and the police station. That was,
$14,000 for surveys.
I think we finished that in 96 or 97. That used to be the old water plant, but we don't have, so we gotta spend $47,000 actually.
Well, here's,
Wow.
if you're going to proceed in terms of potentially, you know, developing these sites, you definitely want to have an updated survey. Now, one thing that should help you and reassure you is that we did ask the consultant to provide us at least 3 proposals for the surveys. So if you will look in the attachment in their proposal, there should be a proposal attached to the report. And if you look at the last page of the proposal, page 10, you'll see essentially there were 3 prices and proposals that were submitted through the consultant. One was by a company by the name of MG Vera and Associates. The next one by Keith and Associates, which is the one that's being recommended. And the last one by a company named Hedone, or Hedoni rather. You'll see that there were 2 different type of surveys that were, the prices were sought for. One is referred to as an ALTA, and the other one is a boundary survey. And the ALTA is a little more involved type of survey. So you see what's being recommended for you is for Keith and Associates. And essentially what we are going with is with the, I believe it was with the basic survey is what we're going to, the boundary survey is what we're going with, as opposed to the Alta survey.
Why is one of the surveys $14,000?
Yeah,
So much more.
if I may, just, I want to make sure that I want to correct myself, we're actually going with the Alta surveys
Yeah.
as opposed to the boundary surveys. Well, again, as you can see, Clark, we did ask them is to give us 3 different price proposals. If nothing else, hopefully to reassure you that these are competitive prices. You know,
I just
Those are
wondered
for two
why
lots.
one of them is like so much more.
It's for
than
2
the other
lots.
There's 7,000 apiece for
Yeah.
survey?
yeah,
Here, 5,500, 6,500, it's in the breakdown,
yeah.
Surveys are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
but they are,
If you'll notice for that same site, and again on page 10 of the consultant's proposal, the proposal from the company named Vera was 17,000. The proposal, as you mentioned, Clark, for Keith was 14,000. And the proposal from Hedoni, I believe it's pronounced, is $15,891.
All right.
So, you know, we just want to sort of reassure you and also the board that these prices are competitive prices, you know.
I have a question. What is the difference between the Mocha parking lot and the police department's parking lot east? Aren't those the same parking lots?
No.
it's behind our building, like the trailer,
Behind the Mocha, it's
parking
behind
Behind
the
Mocha.
museum.
Behind Mocha.
yeah,
Behind
So
where
what
the
is-
Parks Department is,
What is Mocha's parking lot then?
right here.
Right here.
We're in front of
Is
the
it
police
that?
department.
Oh,
That's
thought
the
that was
Mocha park, that's
something
what it's known as, the Mocha parking lot.
So this
And
is
the-
gonna go all the way through
Yeah,
the fenced off area too?
it's fenced off area.
And the
Yeah,
police
all
department?
the, yeah, cause the
The entire-
folio really is, like, the city hall folio is all of, like, plant CPND, building, parks, and the parking lots. That's one folio. So, we're not doing Mocha, and we're not doing police.
And City Hall parking lot, is that the parking lot directly,
8th Avenue, yeah. that's fine.
directly east of City Hall?
That's, behind the FAR building,
Just
right? The
That's
Dollar
our
Tree,
park-
yeah, that's our
Right.
parking lot, the Dollar Tree, where the Dollar Tree
Right,
people park.
right,
That's the
okay.
city hall parking lot.
All right. Well,
You
I'm
know?
glad this is finally moving forward. We only talked about it for 15 years. Have we been in existence that long?
Seriously?
Yes.
Whatever. Anyway, can I get a motion?
I so
Mr. Chair,
move.
can we?
Yeah, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
committee
you.
members.
Second item is just more of an FYI. You know, since we're trying to fill up the board, Councilman, Vice Mayor Desrumé will be nominating Ashaki Bronson Marcellus to the board as his business appointee at the February meeting. She was at Bank United. Mr. Jerome McCain, I'm gonna put him on the spot, is from Wells Fargo. He's the appointee for Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, so we're gonna have two banks.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
He was not planning.
Sure. Well, my name is Jerome McCain. I work at Wells Fargo Bank on 127th and Biscayne Avenue. I've been in banking, this is my 10th year. I've been at that particular location for 7 years, and
Wow.
I'm excited to be a part of this here committee.
Okay, well, welcome.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
And Ashaki is my banker, so she's outstanding, so that's
Mhm.
great.
She really
Yeah,
is.
she's always been involved in the community,
Yeah,
and so on, and,
that's great.
yeah, so, we're missing one business at large. Ms. Geimer is the resident at large, so we're missing one business at large for us to have a full, board. So if you have any suggestions, let me know, so that I can, you know, have them fill out the application and make the recommendation to the board. Okay, item number 3, since I hadn't seen you in forever, right? So the state legislature finally did pass several changes to the CRA, statute and so on and so forth. So I did a cover memo for you just to update you on the items that are very pertinent to the committee, the board, and the operation of the CRA. So one of them is, as of January 1st, 2020, everyone, CRA board members, staff, committee members are required to do 4 hours of ethics training. The city clerk is helping me work on that to schedule it. The issue that we're having right now, we did contact the Miami-Dade County Ethics Department and everything, and because they do an ethics training for, you know, elected officials and so on, but she's reaching out to the Florida League of Cities because some of the requirements that the state statute has, most likely it's going to be the Florida League of Cities or a state person that can help with the training. Now, if you are a CPA or an attorney, Ms. Cohen is not here, you do have ethics as part of your like certificate, right? Continued education, right, Mr. Zelkowitz?
Correct.
So if you do ethics training through your continued education for your license, you have to show me and provide me proof, and I will keep it. But now they want 4 hours of training on public records, on public meetings, on you know, everything regarding ethics and so on and so forth. So you will hear from us soon, hopefully maybe like April. Obviously 4 hours is too much. We want to split it up. So I will have to schedule it, you know, an hour each. I don't think more than 2 hours would be too much. But this is based on calendar year, not fiscal year. So that's one. As of January 1st, 2020, we're required to have a digital map on our website, and we have one. If you haven't been to our website, please go. There is a section that says maps. You go on there. It was provided to us by Timmons Group. You can go on a property dashboard and put in an address to see if it's in the CRA. It provides a lot of details. We've also incorporated the zoning code in there. And also, even though a small portion of the opportunity zone is in the CRA, the one that's on Northwest 7th Avenue, we have it also in there, the opportunity zones, in case you need to see it. Requires the CRA to use the same procurement processes as the city or the county. It is in our standard operating procedures manual that was adopted by the committee and the board in 2017. Annual reporting, we have different requirements now. Several updates, and also even in our audit, they had some requirements. We were just recently audited by HCT, so next month they're going to come and do the report. They've already incorporated those changes into the audit that they did. It requires CR expenditures to be pursuant to the annual budget, which we always do anyway. It changed the time frame we usually had 45 days from the date that our budget is approved by the city council to send it to the county. Now they require 10 days.
Wow.
Which I'm like, okay. But on a good note, our budget has been approved by the county commission at the January 22nd meeting already. Yeah, but they require within 10 days you have to send it to the county for approval. They changed that. Last piece the most important for me, what I think is interesting, before, as you recall, our capital projects, after 3 years, we would have to, you know, defund them or something. They removed the 3-year limitation off of the capital projects. But if we are appropriating funds or if we're making changes, we have to do it through a budget approval process, a budget amendment. So Griffin Center, as an example, we have that money in the budget. If after the 3 years, we just have to reappropriate it, do a budget amendment, reappropriate it for the Griffin Center and so on. But it can go past the 3 years. All right. So like I said, to date, we have the digital map already listed on our website. Through our interlocal, as you see, that's why we have Mr. Destrade here at our meetings, because the procurement department is the one doing all our bidding for us. The CRA auditor, you will meet in March, has already incorporated all those legislative changes. Our budget has been approved as of January 22nd, 2020 by the Board of County Commission. The city clerk is working on those ethics training and the new requirements for the reporting for our annual report. The annual report is due March 31st every year, as you know. That's when I print out the beautiful glossy booklet of all the activities that we had. It'll reflect some changes. They want us to show when we were created, the growth in value per year. They want us to show specifically the actual projects that were done and compare them to the plan and refer to the plan so they can see, like, it's 50% done what we had already planned on doing as part of the CRA plan. So once that is done at the March meeting, well, no, it'll probably be the April meeting, because we have till March 31st. At the April meeting, you'll have the annual report, and you'll see the changes. So I just wanted to keep you all informed as to, the state legislature, and all the implementations that we've done. Our standard operating procedures manual is also attached, as you can see, and then I've already updated them with the language as, what is required and so on and so forth. Any questions?
Anything coming up in this legislative sessions?
I haven't seen any or heard anything.
I think they did a very comprehensive,
Gonna leave us
overhaul
alone
of
for a minute?
statute, last year, so, but they always come up with something.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of ambiguity in like some of the requirements that they made. So I think eventually they're gonna make some changes. Like for instance, that's why I had to ask Mr. Zalkowitz and the county. They asked that we provide reports for items from December on, but everything we do is, the fiscal year is October to September, not calendar year. So we're gonna still provide a report for the full fiscal year, and then make a notation about the December year-to-date reporting that they're asking for. Because, it's kind of a little bit disconnected. Okay, so, this doesn't require a vote or an action, it was just more to
A
update
report.
you, a report to update you on what the state legislature has done. And now for the Nomi Red Garden.
Okay.
All right. Where's my thing? Okay, let's see. We're ready, Dunya? So the title actually should not say Nomi Red Garden update for you. It should say presentation of the Nomi Red Garden, because I was not able to make a presentation to you at the last meeting, since we did not have a quorum for a presentation.
You want the
Um,
lights down? Russia?
No, it's fine, unless the board needs to see it. So, just to give you a background of what we're talking about, there's a property on Northwest 7th Avenue, 12351 Northwest 7th Avenue. It's been dilapidated and an eyesore on Northwest 7th Avenue for over 20 years. Can I confirm that, Ms. Geimer? Yes.
Yeah.
And it had like tons
No,
of
it's not been an eyesore
statues.
for 20 years, it's been there for 20 years.
Well, it wasn't, I was told it was, but anyway, it has some wonderful statues in there.
Yes, right,
Okay. Some very weird statues too.
that's right.
But anyway, so,
Denmark sold.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was not sold. The city made a part of their settlement agreement, because the city had like over hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. They made a settlement agreement. So the city has taken possession of the site for the next 15 years, and so that's where the idea came up with for us to do the Nomi Red Garden. Again, it is part of the North Miami Chinatown project. So, Red Garden seemed appropriate as a name. What the former city manager, executive director, and the interim executive director, Arthur Sori, came up with was for us to do an open air event space. So we did go to the CRA board, and they did approve spending no more than $500,000 to clear the lot, do drainage, underground electrical and plumbing, a parking lot, staging the site as a temporary event space to allow for activations with food trucks, music, art, and cultural programming. One of the things that I made sure we included is because, again, the CRA is here to help businesses, entrepreneurs, and so on. So to create a food truck incubator program on site to help local residents. So we're looking at cottage, people who cook from home or on these, these booths throughout the streets, but they're North Miami residents, and they're not ready for brick and mortar. So creating a boot camp program where they would go through the process of being trained so they can operate a food truck, which is a little bit less cumbersome than actually a brick and mortar thing. They would learn the process, the legalities of it, the business aspect of it, and so on and so forth. And once the site is activated, let's say Thursday through Sunday, they would be there as part of, mixed with all the other mainstream food trucks to operate and to see if, their project, it will survive. If they have a following, if they, they graduate and they do it right, then they get to retain the food truck, and they get to have their space there. I just want to point out, I don't know, one of our grantees, I don't remember if we did it, but Golden Brew is a vegan restaurant on Northwest 7th Avenue. She came from a food truck, so she migrated from the food truck, and then now she's opening up a brick and mortar restaurant. So that's the kind of like evolution that we're trying to promote. So let's see. All right, so this is the site plan that we had to do. We hired Romanik Senilowski. I'm massacring their names, but they're the architects that are doing the Griffin Park for us. So we asked them to help us out and do a site plan. What you see there, where it says the vacant lot is supposed to be like a big tent, and then all the colorful triangles are these sails for shade that we would put in after we've done all the underground work and so on. Now, understanding that we had the Super Bowl this weekend, we were tasked to like do this project on steroids. So, for instance, you know, we had 4 big tents. We didn't have the sails. The parking lot is not on site yet. As you can see, there's supposed to be parking on site. So we occupied the whole space for the Super Bowl 4-day event. And we had made arrangements with Javon Lumber and Trinity Church for parking for the Super Bowl weekend event. So now that it's over, I don't know if you've been by, but the tent company has already come and they started, you know, taking down the tents. Only one, the big tent, is staying. It's staying permanently. And now we have to finish the rest of the work. This is a sample of what the idea, the vision that we wanted to create. There's several out there. There's the Urban from Overtown. There's the Wharf in downtown Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Wynwood Yard is one of the most famous ones. Now it's like the Doral Yard. So it's an open air atmosphere with opportunities for live music, food trucks, and things like that. So that's the Wharf. Okay, so here are the before, let me see, before pictures of the property. Yes, yes. So we actually had to move all of those vases and statues. We moved them to a city lot for now.
Where are they?
It's on a city lot. We're not saying where it is.
I could use some of those.
Yes, but unfortunately not. It's in an undisclosed location.
Well, it shouldn't be that hard to find.
Yeah, well,
I
no,
heard
you
that they grounded it all up.
No, they didn't ground it all up. The stuff that was broken, but everything else was moved, except if you can see in the far, the Buddha and the lady on the dragon.
That was a big process he had to.
Yeah, we did. Our intent is to bring back those statues, the ones that are like viable, and do a call to artists and have them like paint them, do something, you know, with them. Okay, so, and that's the logo for the Nomi Red Garden.
What was the,
Here, this is the after.
yeah, I was by there the other day.
Yeah, for,
It looks very nice.
yes, so like I said, most of those tents are, like, they've already broken them down and so on. One tent is staying, and then the rest of it we have to now do. The good part about it is it's abutted by the I-95 and Northwest 7th Avenue. So people had concern about noise for the residential area. Ms. Geimer, you're shaking your head?
There was no noise.
Okay, thank you.
There was no noise either.
Thank you. We did get, even though we did pay to do community outreach for the residents on the west side. I did get several phone calls and, you know, people upset thinking that they were going to come and overrun their residential areas and the noise was going to be, you know, ridiculous. But there were no noise complaints. It was contained on the commercial corridor.
You get more noise from I-95.
Yeah. Okay, so again,
Is
this
that
was like the,
staying?
huh?
The big one is the one that is staying? This one?
I honestly, I don't know. I'll have to find out, but,
It looks very nice.
yeah, it was very nice, the setup. I have some after pictures we're gonna be posting, to show, you know, afterwards what it looked like. I think, is that it? So, yeah, this is the site plan. So you see those green round things, the column in the middle? Those are supposed to be the statues. There's gonna be like the statue garden when we're done. So when you come into the entrance, you have statues on both sides and things like that. So, all right. So we've done the electrical, the lot clearing, the landscaping, the audiovisual. We did spend the $500,000. That was like this presentation was done by Mr. Sori at the city council meeting last Tuesday. but the number needs to be updated. In terms of revenue, the city had made arrangements with event promoters, and it's gonna take us, well, it's gonna take the city a week or two to finalize the numbers to see how much they brought in as part of the investment that they made. My understanding is that they intend to put out to bid to hire an operator to take care of, running the events and renting it out and so on and so forth as part of revenue
And
generating.
that vendor be paying the city revenue?
Yeah, the city, well, the CRA hopes to recoup its investment first.
We will recoup.
Yes, and then, the city makes its money.
So they're gonna recoup it first, then put it out to a private guy to.
I would assume so. That was one of the reasons why they had an event promoter, because I think, at the council meeting, you were there, right, Mr. Each, when they were
Yeah.
talking about, I think like the original plan is like they were supposed to get 50% of the proceeds up to a certain amount, and then afterwards it goes 80-20, and the promoter keeps 80, and then the city keeps 20.
How much
So,
parking are you putting in?
Huh?
How much parking are you putting in? Cause if you put in a lot of parking, you're gonna lose a lot of space.
spaces, correct?
it's gonna on site, but we're gonna need to put more, and also the swale we're gonna need to redo. I think we're gonna have about 185 parking spaces when we're done. Now that they're done clearing out the tents and everything, the CRA, we have to put a permanent fence. This was a construction fence at the time, trying to get everything done. We still have to finish. Now we have to connect to an FPL pole with the transformer. We were connected to electrical underground was connected to a couple of generators. So we have to finalize those items, and then we will focus on the food truck incubator program. Okay.
All the rest of the money for
Yes,
that?
sir.
Do you anticipate the city seeking additional financial assistance from the CRA?
That is a question you'll have to ask the interim executive director. I know they made some investment on the event side. Our responsibility was to create the event space, and we've already, like I said, we've reached our $500,000 threshold, and so that's why now I'm making sure that we get reimbursed as part of that funding, so we can finish what we started. So we do have the drainage for the site needs to be formally done, if we're gonna use it as an event space. The fence, the parking lot, there's some more, and the sales we have to acquire. So there's some more items that we need to get, and so I'm waiting on the city to reimburse us for that part, and then we can keep it
So that
moving.
would sort of be like we get paid back and then we do it again? kind of
Yeah,
thing?
we finish it.
And would we anticipate getting paid back again out of revenue then? that
I
we
would
generate?
love to. I think it would be appropriate. Again, the 500,000 came from the grants line item.
Okay.
So that's $500,000 less to give to businesses.
For a private business that, we would be trying to help
Yes.
as far as rehabilitation or business
Yes,
attraction,
Yes.
any one of those grants.
yes. So, I mean, our budget,
Maybe the board wants to sort of consider that and make it sort of a, what we call, you're gonna have another report, and maybe we think about it and have some sort of, motion that we, that we
seek reimbursement.
seek reimbursement, and, that any future monies also be reimbursed, since we wanna use these monies for grants, which is what they were in the budget for in the
For,
first place.
yeah.
Not grants for the city.
Okay. Any other questions for that item? Okay, cool. Thank you. And that's the last one. Okay. So
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
the last item on the agenda is under the executive director's report. As you know, our meeting is always every first Monday of the month, but unfortunately, the annual Public-Private Partnership Conference, the P3 conference in Dallas, is the first week of March. And I think we did that last year where we had to move it. The CRA attorney, myself, Mr. Sori, the interim executive director, the mayor, and so on are going to the P3 conference. So we won't be here to run it. So we're moving it to Monday, March 9th at 6:30, which is the day before the CRA board meeting. I don't anticipate going to any more P3 conferences. This is gonna be like my third one. Last year, Mr. Destrade came with us, and even Ms. Wilson, our CP&D director, to learn about the whole public-private partnership. Like, what does it mean, and how do you prepare a bid, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be, for me, it'll be my last conference in P3s. Hopefully, I'll be a master of it by then.
And where's it gonna be?
It's in Dallas, and we leave on Sunday, and then we come back Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So that's why I want to make sure that you are aware.
With the planning, the national planning convention?
No,
No,
the P3
no.
convention.
P3 convention.
So that's where you meet with developers, other cities to learn best practices and stuff.
Get that magazine.
Oh, yeah, we get that magazine, yes. That's through the planning department.
Planning department.
Yeah. So just to let you know, we won't be in town, so that's why I'm proposing that we move it to March 9th at 6:30.
Yep.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just to clarify, the CRA is not spending funds to send the CRA attorney.
No, he's not on our tab. He's going on his own.
The CRA attorney's firm.
Yeah, is going on his own.
In case there's any question.
Yes. And then, I don't know, like from the last time when I did the presentation for an update, I told you about the Wakefield Brewery, right? Already?
Right.
There's still negotiations, but we got 3 restaurants coming in from Wynwood. They've already signed leases. Actually, they sent us our letter of intent.
Three restaurants coming with you.
It's gonna be, you know where the Payless used to be on Biscayne and like, what is it, 126?
Oh, yes.
Right.
I didn't even know that part was in the CRA, which is weird, but even the Wells Fargo is in the CRA. So Mr. Cream is moving from Wynwood. It's a specialty ice cream shop.
Oh, good.
Thick Chicks Chicken is
Ice
moving from Wynwood. And one of those specialty donut shops.
And they're all going in
They're
there?
all coming here.
Where are
All
you,
three.
where are you moving to?
You know where Liberty Dry Cleaners is, and Payless Shoe Source, that little strip,
Yeah,
right?
the Payless,
Okay,
right there, yeah,
Wong,
yeah.
the Chinese restaurant,
But
Right.
they all
that
went out of
closed.
business,
So they're
moving.
moving. They took the Wong spot and they took 2 other bays for the
Oh,
other
so
things.
3
So
restaurants.
3 of them are going. Yeah,
Three of them
Is that
are
at
moving in.
126th Street?
yeah. I think it's 126. Like the was it the Boston Market is on the other side of
Yeah,
it, next
Yeah,
to it.
Wong's went out.
Yeah.
And then Payless went under.
Yeah.
the
So they're
whole
renting
strip is
3
vacant,
bays.
yeah, it was just remodeled, well, they just painted it and everything.
Yeah, they gave a coat of paint. So the 3 businesses are moving there, and they already sent us their letter of
It's
intent to
pretty neat
sign a
fill those
lease.
3 up that fast.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
So, but the only thing is, I explained to them, I'm like, the Biscayne Boulevard is not downtown. Like, they can't do murals. Wynwood is very artistic, and So I'm like, you can't do murals there. Just be aware, it's different. But if you had rented in downtown or West Dixie, you could have like done some murals and stuff like that. But the deal that he got was very good. They're like paying $16,000 a month rent right now in Wynwood. He's like, his trash is $3,000 a month.
Wow.
So yeah, moving here is like, yeah, no, he actually asked, he's like, can I move now? And then we deal. I'm like, no, you have to go through the process. So I'm very happy to report 3 new businesses coming.
That's a good hit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
That
That's
building
great news.
across from Taco Bell looks really nice. Small, but nice.
yeah.
Right here.
Oh yeah. So that one, you got Flavorish Bakery. We gave them, we gave them a grant. They're going through the permitting process. There's a hot dog specialty place. The gentleman is a French gentleman. His menu looks wonderful, fattening. We can't go there,
Oh, good.
but he has vegan. He will have vegan hot dogs.
That's gonna be in this new place?
Where the Marlin Lives place, where the shoe store used to be, the one that caught
The one
fire.
that burned
Yeah, the
down.
one right
Oh, yeah,
down here on the
like gonna
corner.
be a hot dog shop?
He's
Yeah.
have the Flavorish Bakery is moving there, and then a specialty hot dog place. She has 1 more bay left, like about 880 square feet. She's talking to another restaurant right now, so we'll see. Remember, we gave them a grant to put a grease trap for the whole
Right.
Yeah.
property so she can split
I
it
wanna
up.
go high, you guys did
Yeah,
that.
but you know what? We're getting 3 new restaurants. One of them is a cafe, sidewalk cafe restaurant. So it's exciting. The hot dog place, the funny thing, they have like a what do you call it, a churro, and then the donut is the bun with the caramel or dulce. It's a hot dog, but it's a donut and a churro.
Well,
Oh,
So I was like, yeah, we're not. Nobody's going there. It's a heart attack.
see.
Sounds great.
But by the way,
Let's
just
see the
jumping
kitchens
back,
in there.
No, the grant is for the interior remodel. She built the place
built
and put
out
the
the
grease
re-
trap, and then we're doing the interior, which is the kitchen, the bathroom, and the seating.
Yeah, but I don't see the kitchen.
Anyway, just jumping back to Red Garden for
Mhm.
1 second. I did have a chance to go out there at Red Garden, and it seemed to be very well organized. The traffic was taken care of properly. There wasn't any. I mean, it was really, really a nice event, and I think that no reported incidents of any kind. It was, as I say, it was very well organized. The police were on top of everything. Everything was done well. The traffic was organized, and I think it's going to be a great facility. And so now, North Miami will have its own event space because they're going to continue to do that as an event space on Northwest 7th. So it'll be a great place to go and meet people and have little events and that kind of thing.
Don't forget, our responsibility is to create the food truck incubator program.
Right.
So we still have a big hand in it. And we're gonna have to help a few businesses.
And I think our attorney mentioned something about going forward to helping support that portion, correct?
Well, my question to Rasha was whether the city is gonna come back and ask us for more money, it's gonna come and ask the CRA for more money.
I would think so.
Then,
Well, then, we need to reevaluate, your grants program, because that's your grant money that you're giving to the city.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
That's something to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it was a nice event all weekend, and it holds a lot of promise, so it's really great, that we can do that kind of thing.
Just for point of clarity, the money that you invested now, or whatever we invested, the CRA invested in that, that's supposed to be recaptured, right? To come back to the CRA?
no, it was supposed to be a grant to build it out
Okay,
and to do the food truck
Okay.
incubator. But like I said, because of the Super Bowl, the original site plan
right,
is not what we did,
okay.
right? Like, we're supposed to have 1 tent, sales, parking lot, drainage.
Gotcha.
We ended up with 4 tents and
Right.
other things because of the Super Bowl. So what I'm suggesting is that the city, once they recoup their funds from the promoter,
Okay,
they reimburse us so
Okay.
we can finish what we
Doing the
said we were
project.
gonna do.
okay.
Because I can't do the food truck incubator without proper drainage and
Right.
so on and so
Right,
forth.
gotcha.
And we said we weren't gonna spend no more than 500,000.
Right.
So anything else, if we're gonna create the food truck incubator, that money was supposed to come out of that as well. So just making sure that we get reimbursed while the city's also getting reimbursed by the promoter, so we can continue the work. Like recycling that 500,000 pretty much, and not, we can't spend any more. Like I said, because we're getting a lot of grant requests.
Mike,
As you know.
busy when you went out?
Yeah,
A lot of people?
yeah, there was a lot of people out
Just
there.
parking was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, well, they made arrangements for all the different stores around them, particularly for the Super Bowl event.
Yeah.
So I think they wound up having spaces for like 800 cars. I mean, they had really, you had to walk, but, there was
Yeah,
sufficient.
Javon Lumber, Trinity
Yeah,
Church,
the Trinity Church
Yeah.
location, they all said, yeah, you can come use our
our parking.
parking. So it actually was very well organized from that standpoint.
And they had valet, so I went and.
Yeah.
Listen to you. So you see, she's asking if she
Ballet
knew.
is always a
She knew,
good thing,
she knew
right?
they had ballet. So,
ballet?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
We
We had
went by a couple of
TVs
times.
there to watch the game
Yeah.
yesterday, and so
And
on.
when I went there, now I didn't go there at the heat of the night, so to speak, but when I went there, it was really crowded, and there really wasn't any unusual noise. I mean, it didn't seem, in fact, the people were walking from the neighborhoods
To see.
to the event. So, it was really an attraction, and, so.
Well,
Walking is good.
it's a different crowd that Luke gets now
Yeah.
than what he did 20 years ago.
Oh,
Yes, yes, somebody
Yeah,
made
we're
that
all over
comment. Somebody made that comment this morning. It's like the youngest person was like 40.
Well, Councilman Galvin at last council meeting said, Uncle Luke's older than I am.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
that was a good remark. CRA attorney's report, do you have anything for us?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Rasha?
That's it, just changing the meeting to March 9th.
Okay.
And, actually, Mr. Attorney, I want to say. At the March 9th meeting, we would like to bring the bylaws and an interlocal agreement for review. Our bylaws are very outdated. They're from the original. And, you know, now that we're moving along and we want to establish a proper relationship with the city, as you recall, we're paying the city an administrative fee to manage our finances and so on and so forth. So Mr. Zelkowitz sent me an updated, you know, bylaws and interlocal agreement for us to review and change. You know, little things, for instance, the CRA bylaws say you can spend up to $50,000 without board approval. The city's procurement says 25. So that's another thing. We're gonna like streamline and make sure that we actually do not conflict and things like that. So March will be a lot more administrative. It's the audit presentation and the bylaws and the interlocal agreement. And then April, we're gonna have several grants for you to approve.
Very
Okay?
good. Okay. Is there any old business to come before us?
When would you schedule the training for, or would it be after April?
I'm thinking after April.
Okay.
Yeah, we will definitely give you enough notice for everybody, because like I said, it has to be staff, you know, board, committee members, anybody who's getting a stipend from the CRA will have to attend. So some city employees as well will have to attend. And the city clerk said that she wants to have the Florida League of Cities handle it, and so she'll keep me abreast. As soon as we know, then we'll, you know, let everyone know so you can save the time. If we have to, we can make it like the CRA advisory committee meeting, if we have to,
Okay.
like an hour, if we don't have any items to present.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Again, is any old business, any new business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.